What's going on, everybody? It's your boy D from DNC Digital back with another episode of DNC Radio. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody's doing well in such a strange time in the world. My guest today is the lovely Brianne Davis. She is a model, actress, director, author, podcast host. She hosts the Secret Life podcast, and she has written The Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. It's a fictionalized take loosely based on her own experiences. That's something we'll get into later. Miss Brianne Davis, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was a mouthful.
Oh, well, thanks. I try to make sure that we have a good table of contents so that
Yeah, but it's like the longest title known to man, my book. I know it is. People are
no,
like,
no,
really?
but
It
but
needs to be
it
that
just makes
long?
sure
I was
very
like,
direct,
yes,
very
yes.
direct.
Yeah, right.
So,
Thanks for having me.
no, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. So last year, we were planning something big for my daughter for her birthday, but unfortunately, COVID hit and the whole world had to stop. Now I know you have a birthday around my daughter's birthday. Your birthday is in April. Hers is at the
hmm
end of March. So I know you probably had to cancel some plans last year. Do you have anything planned for this year now that we're a little more used to the whole pandemic?
Yeah, we're going to Palm Springs for my birthday. So we got a
Nice.
house for 5 days, and it's my son's. His birthday's 6 days before mine, so we're kind of going together. But it's just me and my husband and my son. So it's not like my mom and people I normally see on my birthday, which is really sad.
Now I know you grew up in Georgia,
hmm
and I know you moved to LA, around your teens. But I want to talk about Georgia because one thing I enjoy about traveling is the food.
Ah,
So if there is any place that you tell me to go to in Atlanta, I will probably go to. And it's not like the ones that show up in the Taste of Atlanta Food Festival. I want like a hole in the wall place. Where would you send me to if I were to go to Atlanta?
well, I feel like you probably already heard about it, but every time I go to Atlanta, always go to Waffle House. I am
Yes, yes.
obsessed with Waffle House. Hash browns scattered, smothered, and covered, a waffle with butter all over it. So that's where I would send you. But I haven't lived there in so long that I don't know the holes in the walls anymore. I
Do you,
always like their Mexican food, like the Mexican food. They call it dirty Mex. It's like it's not Tex Mex. It's like and they have this cheese dip. Oh my god, I love going to those kind of places there.
do
They
you
don't
have any
have it in
memories of
LA.
going to the Starlight Drive-In movie theater?
No, we didn't do that.
No. So what?
My sad childhood.
No, but it wasn't that sad. I know you said you were a shy kid, but then you
Yeah,
were given some options: either join the volleyball team or join the drama club. So
yeah.
what made you gravitate toward the drama club?
Well, I was horrible at volleyball. I would get
So
I
by
bruise.
default,
Yes, pretty much because I would get bruises because I'm anemic and I have low iron. So if the ball like hit me, I would bruise. So when you're doing that, I would bruise on my hands and I just didn't want to, take that class. So I did drama, which I was very scared about because I'm dyslexic. I have a learning disability and we
Mhm.
had dialogue and lines. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But it kind of helped me, break open my shell. And I'm so grateful I had to choose that.
To touch on that, you've been really open about your struggles with dyslexia and ADHD,
Yeah.
ADHD, excuse me. So as a kid in your formative years,
hmm
what do you do with that frustration, thinking that it's not gonna be attainable? How did you jump that hurdle?
Well, I think it ate me alive a little bit, honestly. I mean, I talk about it in the book. I go back and look at my past in the book, and I let my learning disability, dictate my inner voice a lot. And I still do to this day. I'm doing the audiobook now for Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. And I'm so nervous to read my own book. And you would think I wrote the book. I didn't have a ghostwriter. I wrote it and I'd be fine reading it out loud, recording it, but I still get massive anxiety. I get anxiety when I do parts where I have a lot of people's names. Especially in the movie Synchronicity, I had to say like a lot of scientific words and scientists' names and stuff. So that's still a struggle for me. And I definitely let that inner voice dictate. Like, if I don't know something, I call myself stupid and I like pretty much am the worst person to myself. And I'm trying to be better. And I think writing the book and publishing it and it hitting bestseller has helped me think like, I'm not stupid. My brain just works different than other people.
how do you take that and possibly help other people in their experiences that are feeling what you felt back then?
Well, that's what I would say, you're not stupid. Your brain just works different, and it took me a long time to realize that, and I am smart, and I'm very streetwise, and I'm a working actress for 20 years. I've made a living being a working actress, memorizing dialogue. So if you're struggling out there reading, comprehending, standardized testing, I was horrible on my SAT scores. I don't even know what they were because they were so bad, but I didn't go to college, and it's like, you can be a successful individual and still not go to college and still not be great at testing and all that academic
Mhm.
stuff, and it doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you're probably more creative, you listen better, you outsmart the system, all of that stuff. So I wish I would have had a role model back then, because I didn't know anybody that talked about having a learning disability or struggling at all.
Do you feel like the system maybe puts these standards up in front of these kids that are they're so young? I mean, even a
Yeah.
17-year-old, their mind is still being molded. Do you feel like there are unnecessary standards that are given to them as far as going to college and
Mhm.
getting a good job and taking tests correctly?
I do. I think it's really skewed to one mindset, and I think we should open up, and standardized testing shouldn't get you into college. Plus, even going to college these days, you can go to college and get a degree and not get a job.
Mhm.
So and all the money people spend on college, and then the loans people have, and it's just like, I think the system is broken,
And
and
you
I
never
think
make it back with the career that you chose.
no, not even doctors. Doctors owe millions of dollars for schooling, and they're like, this is going to take me forever to pay this off. So I really think our system and society is broken, and we have unrealistic expectations, especially on the working class. I'm like a working class actor. I'm not like living in a mansion or
Mhm,
anything
mhm.
like that. So I think we need a huge shift in society.
Uh, when you talk about your occupation as an actress, you started off modeling before
Mhm.
you went into acting. Can you talk to us about the competitiveness in the modeling world and how it may make or break somebody?
Oh, yeah, it's brutal because you're really just looked at as an object. At least with acting, I am an object, but I become a character, and it's still my voice and it's
Mhm.
my decisions and my creativity. But with modeling, it's really just what you look like on the outside. So if you don't fit the perfect mold, the skin color, the height, I was like a half an inch or an inch shorter than I should be, then it's really bad. I mean, I had people tell me they hated my nose and that I should get a breast implant. I mean, they tell you everything. So I think that helped me going into acting because it's less brutal as an actress
Yeah, you already went
than
through the
as a
worst of it.
model. Yeah, I like got it so young as
It's
as
more
a
like
model.
I just don't like the way you said that rather than your nose. Your
Yeah,
nose
well,
is
with
fine.
act
Just say it this way.
thank you, but as an actor, it's not so personal where it's like, "Oh, they just needed somebody else for the character," or "My character didn't fit with that husband. We didn't make a good match," or "There was another blonde on the show." So there's all these reasons why you don't get a job, and you usually hear them. With modeling, it's just like, "Ow," and they, like, measure you and weigh you, and it can really, also play on your self-confidence.
Definitely. So when we talk about the glamour and the glitz and the lights and the red carpets about Hollywood, when you first did Promchiversary, did you see that in your future as as your first when you did your first project?
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Jane Lynch was in that, it was so
Jane
amazing.
Lynch was in that? That's
Yes, she was
awesome.
so amazing, and I got to improv with her, and she
Did you
was
keep up with her?
unbelievable.
Jesus.
Yes, I did, and she was, like, so impressed. I'm
That's
pretty good,
awesome.
like, off the cuff, but, yeah, I didn't see I didn't have any expectations. I think as an actor and you come here, you like want to be on the red carpet and
Mhm.
glitz and glam. But once I got here, I realized how much hard work it is, and you have to be resilient.
You talk about resilience, to
Mhm.
touch on that, and you go back to how they talked to you when you were modeling and how you felt about yourself with your dyslexia. How long does it take somebody? Well, I mean, for you personally,
Mhm.
how relieving was it when you learned to accept flaws rather than try to fix them?
I think it took me a really long time. Like I said, I've been working for 20 years. And I think, when I hit my bottom in my sex and love addiction,
Hmm.
and it also stopped, I didn't work for the first year of my recovery. And I was really like telling my higher power, oh my God, if I'm not supposed to do this job anymore, then take it away. Because my therapist at the time was like, you pick the worst profession for your addiction. Like, uh, we're addicted to people, and I'm surrounded by people and becoming a different person and wearing masks and costumes and not being myself. So it really took, this last 10 years, 11 years, I have 11 years of sobriety in the program. It took me that long to be okay with my flaws. If I don't look perfect, if I'm not, I'm more willing, I guess, to fly my freak flag now than I
Hmm.
was 10 years ago, where I was so perfectly like I almost someone said that I look like a doll, like you couldn't I was an enigma, like you couldn't figure me out. So I think it took me a really long time. I wouldn't suggest anyone to take that long, but that's what it took me.
But being an actress, doing all these roles, did it allow you to hide behind everything and just not deal with
Everything.
it?
Yeah, I mean, every day, if you think like this morning, and I woke up at 4 a.m. putting myself on tape for an audition, and yesterday up at 4 a.m., before my son gets up. And so if you're doing that every day and you're going to play a part, on Six, I was on for 2 years,
Yeah.
you hide behind the character. It's so easy. That's why a lot of people in Hollywood have sex and love addiction. And LA's the biggest community of sex and love addicts in the world. And then there's New York and London, and those are huge actor entertainment. But when you're entertaining and you get to become someone else, which is what I loved about being an actor, like I can murder someone this month and next
And go
month.
home.
Yeah, right. And go home and say all the things you really want to say in person, and fall in love with someone new every other day. It's like you hide behind becoming other people. And it was killing me. It was killing me as a person.
Now that you've congratulations by the way on your decade of sobriety. That's
Thank
that's
you.
so awesome.
Thanks.
Um you're a mom, you
Hmm.
are a wife, you are a producer, director, author, podcast host, and you're dealing with this yourself.
Yeah.
How do you learn about time management when it comes to all these different hats you have to wear along with taking care of yourself?
Yeah, that's a struggle every day. I feel like I'm doing pretty good at it, especially during the pandemic, because our toddler is home. He's about to be 3 years old. So he's in that stage where he wants to play. But, I wake up early. I try to get all my emails done and, post for social media, get out the podcast stuff. Then, I get on a meeting every morning, my 12-step program. I'm on 9 meetings a week. That's really important to me. I have sponsees I work with. I have a sponsor I check in with. If my husband and he produces a lot of stuff, and
Hmm.
we take turns. And I think just knowing that you can't do it all, like there has to be moments where you're like, I'm struggling right now. I need to go in the bedroom, or I need to go in the office and meditate. Like we just that this morning because we have so much going on. And I just turn it over to my higher power and I say, it will be done when it's done. I
Hmm.
know the main thing is if I don't have my serenity and my sobriety, I can't take care of my husband. I can't take care of me, and I can't take care of my son.
That's so great to hear, and that's really refreshing because some people are workaholics and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'll rest when I'm dead," and and they don't take care of themselves. I know we were just talking about the dangers of taking on so many roles when you're dealing with something you're allowed to hide behind, but some roles can be educational too. You
Hmm.
played Jake Gyllenhaal's girlfriend in Jarhead,
Yeah.
and also doing Six for 2 seasons. You've had some cool roles, military wise.
Yeah.
With roles like that, did it allow you to have insight into these worlds as you're studying to become this character for this project?
Definitely. I mean, my father fought in the Vietnam, so I came from a military background, and I love supporting the military, even if you don't support the war or what we're going through. Like the people that fight for our country are so important and they need to be honored. So definitely with Lena Graves, knowing all the struggles that military wives go through and families and talking to them and, visiting them and wanting to portray what it really looks like and how hard it is. Like that is a hard I think acting's a hard job, I go on location, I'm away from my family, but if your significant other could be dead and it's just I can't imagine living that life. It's very hard and I honor all the families that are military families.
Um, so it turns out that your first Hollywood experience was on a set of Remember the Titans, where you played a
Yes.
cheerleader. Now,
Yes.
as I was reading the story, I was pretty damn impressed because I used to do extra work back in New York, and I used to wake up at 6 in the morning and to show up and to sit there in catering, wait to be picked for a certain scene. Now you were standing there from four p.m. to 4 a.m., like a
Yeah.
long time. Turned out that they gave you two lines that ended up getting cut out of the movie.
Yes. It was so
And
sad.
all of that being said, you still enjoyed your experience and you did not want to leave the set, and you got bit by the bug.
I did. I did. I got bit by it. I working for those hours for that time. I loved it. We were in the freezing cold, it was winter in Atlanta, doing the cheerleading dances and fake football games and all that stuff and getting to do those 2 lines and how nervous I was, and I just loved it, and I immediately when you go on set, even as an extra, it's like a family, like, it's like
Hmm.
everybody comes together and there's this energy of creating something bigger than you. That's what I love about making movies and television, that it's bigger you and you're a part of something, and I didn't wanna leave. I loved every part of it, and it's crazy because they were crazy hours, but I think it prepared me also when it got cut, the lines got cut,
Like
like
the modeling to the acting, all the
yeah,
bad stuff
I
already
just
happened.
got like a bitch slapped again, but I loved it so much that I'm like, "Well, this is what I wanna do with my life." Like, I love playing other people. I remember when I was really young, if my parents were fighting or it wasn't a good day, that I would go outside and act out scenes. And I was such a latchkey kid and I would immerse myself in movies and television that I just loved it.
That's that's a that's a very interesting thing to hear that you went outside to
Oh, yeah.
to
I would talk
distract
to
yourself.
myself. Yeah. And like act like I'm talking to somebody and have a scene. And I probably looked insane as a little kid, but I was like in the woods, like acting out characters
I
and
mean, what
stuff.
is normal, right?
Well,
So
I guess.
to touch on your addiction that you've been so open about, and
Mhm.
I know we talked before all this to make sure that everything was cool. Your husband convinced you to take a 90-day writing class, and
Yes.
that led to the book, which is a fictionalized character named Roxanne, which is
Mhm.
loosely based on your experiences, I guess. Excuse me. So how did you, I mean, I'm not even sure how to approach the question
Just
because
approach it.
everybody likes sex.
Yeah.
So how did you come to the conclusion that you felt that you it was a dangerous amount of love that you had for it? How did you come to that conclusion? What was that experience like? And
Well,
how did you even go ahead. The floor is
no,
yours.
I love that you asked that because there's such a misconception about being a sex and love addict.
Okay.
So first I have to say like a sex addict, let's say that side first. So you're addicted to the physical act of sex, right? So
Okay.
it's like, the masturbation, the porn, having multiple partners, cheating, one night stands, you're addicted to that physical release. So it doesn't really matter about the person so much, but mostly the sexual act, kissing and all that stuff.
Right.
So go to
Okay.
the other side. There's love addiction. So it's, flirting, intriguing, going after unavailable people, going back to bad relationships over and over again, being addicted to one specific person. And then when it's like the excitement's over, you move to the next person you're addicted to. Movies and all that stuff you can be addicted to. So when you combine both of those, it's usually a combination of both. Some people have one night stands and then they have multiple one night stands, but then they have a boyfriend or all that stuff. So for me, it wasn't the sexual act. Like the sex part is not
Okay.
what I was addicted to. I was addicted to falling in love. Like the whole lead up to the sexual act would be what I was addicted to. And the sexual act would just be about power and control over another person. So I loved, the first moment kissing, the first moment holding hands, the butterflies, all of that I was addicted to. And as soon as that went away,
You wanted to recycle that
yeah. And I
and
wanted
experience
to,
that again.
yes. So, but then the horrible part of me, that's the sex addict part, I wouldn't let go of that partner. I would keep them because it's a security and I had power and control over them. And I had one foot in and one foot out. Then I would like go and intrigue and flirt and get those feelings all over again and find myself, I would say like not breaking up with somebody, then starting something else, overlapping
Oh, okay,
relationships.
yeah.
So I just knew, and it was a clear day when I was living with my boyfriend that I cared about, I loved as much as I could love, and I respected as a person. And my mentor died, and I found myself 2 days later on set, 1,000 miles away,
Mhm.
about to act out with this person I just met that I didn't even like. Like, I didn't even like as a person. Like, he was rude to waiters. He was just not a nice guy. And I sat in my hotel room and I'm like, oh my God, am I going to be doing this the rest of my life? Like, here's someone I live with and I care about and I love, and I'm about to blow it all up all over again. Something is wrong with me. It can't be everybody else. Cause I always thought like the butterflies are gone. That's when the relationship's supposed to be over. Because talk about in movies, like living together, having healthy conversations, talking about paying the bills and finance, picking up dog poop. They don't
Yeah,
talk
to
about that.
add to that, they do the happily ever after, but they never show you after that first kiss and after that wedding walk and everything.
Exactly. That's what no one taught me, and I wasn't modeled a healthy marriage. My parents didn't have a healthy marriage. I never saw them tell each other they love each other. I never saw them hold hands or kiss. So when I looked at marriage, I was like, "Ooh, I don't want that." Like, I never wanted to be married. I never wanted to have kids. So I just grew up with a distorted view of what healthy relationships look like, and I
So
carried it on.
in all your digging, why did you
Mhm.
feel that you needed that power that you mentioned?
Because inside I felt so powerless.
Mm.
Because inside I felt like my worth was based on the outside. It was based on the attention I got, the flirting, the jobs I got, how much money I had in my bank, what my clothes looked like, all that stuff. It was based on that. And the problem is if that goes away, or you don't get the job, or you don't get the guy, or you don't get whatever, blah, 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 like name the thing, I felt worthless. So it was either I was like ego driven or I felt worthless. They say it's you think you're the shit and then you're the piece of shit. Like you're
Mm,
both and you
nice.
just like oscillate between them. So I just had such a low self-esteem, but then I had this like
Your
narcissist.
outer shell was probably like, the one walking around like she had it all.
Exactly, but inside I was crumbling and dying inside
So
pretty
if we can
much.
teach anybody anything, what do you do when to make sure the butterflies keep flying?
Well, I don't think it's possible. I don't
Okay.
think butterflies, I think it's an unrealistic expectation on a relationship to
Okay, now
have.
adding to that, and I'm sorry to
Yeah.
cut you off because
No, go ahead, I don't mind.
there was a very interesting quote that I want people to hear
Okay.
from a woman. Um, can you explain how better things would be if everybody understood that there is no perfect partner?
Oh my god, do you know how amazing the world would be right now if people weren't swiping left, swiping right, filtering, looking for like that person to complete them? Because it doesn't exist, and I say it a number of times, like, there is no soulmate for you out there. No one is going to have enough to fill you. No one's job is to fill you. That is your job, yourself. So, for me, it's like, my husband doesn't complete me. He can't complete me. It's impossible.
And he
So
knows
that
that.
Oh, he knows
He's
that,
cool
and
with it. He's fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he doesn't want to complete me. Anybody that wants to complete somebody else, they're going to be disappointed because it's never going to be happen. It's never there's not going to be good enough. And the problem with someone like me or an addict like me, we're insatiable. So it's like the disease of more. I want more, 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 more. See how far I can push you, see how much I can get from somebody. And it was
Mm.
just exhausting. In any relationship you're exhausted by and it doesn't bring out the best of you, it's to me a sign that something is amiss.
Yeah, man, I can. Oh my God, you cut deep. I can go into how much time do we have? Jesus Christ. Um, so now you kind of ghost wrote an article in the Huffington Post,
Yeah.
and you got a great response out of that, and so
Yeah.
that led to the podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so go ahead and let me know how that happened and what you felt with the response. Did you finally feel like, holy crap, I'm not alone?
well, here's the thing. When I wrote the HuffPost article, I already wrote the first draft of the book.
Okay,
It was
okay.
like 45 days. I wrote the first draft in 45 days. It was a memoir. It was based on and when I was doing rewrites with my editor, it just became this other person. And I was just like spilling more secrets and more imagination. And I would wake up at 3 a.m. and have scenes in my head. And I would like run into the office and type it out and all that stuff. So it became its own thing. But when I did HuffPost, I, wrote the article because what was happening was so many younger generation were coming into the meetings. When I started 11 years ago in Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, I was the youngest person and I was in my 20s and late 20s and but now it's like we have 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds like suicidal and like just in the horrible place and I'm sponsoring all these young people and I'm like this is an epidemic that's happening with the porn industry it's desensitizing our children and it's like it's such a big issue that people don't understand that our youth is having trouble with intimacy and connection and showing up for their lovers or whatever and I just wrote the article to help other people so I already kind of felt I was such in a solid place in my sobriety that I was just being of service but then when
Mhm.
it got like 2 million hits in that month like people were reaching out to me every walk of life was reaching out to me and I was like wow I'm making a difference in the world just not my community of sex and love addicts so
Now you say that it's deadlier than all other addictions.
yeah, I say, well, this is why I say that, and it makes some people very upset. And I'm not saying drugs and alcohol and,
Oh no, no, we're all
gambling and
open here.
yeah,
It's a
I'm not
open
saying those
forum.
aren't
Yeah.
deadly, but usually my experience after so many years is people come in with heroin addictions or they say, I can quit heroin, but I can't quit her. And I know so many people have gone to jail for this addiction, has killed somebody. I've had numerous people commit suicide. I spoke in jails for 2.5 years. Every single inmate, female inmate in that jail was in there for sex and love addiction because she sold drugs for somebody, she murdered somebody, she armed robbery for
Oh,
her
so when you strip
man.
everything down, it
When
really
you strip
is.
everything down underneath is this usually sex and love addiction. They say AA is the last house on the block that anyone wants to go to, but
Okay.
SLAW is what they call Sex and Love
Yeah.
Addicts Anonymous. SLAW is like the in the back, like no one wants to go to. So it's like the last house anybody wants to walk in. So when people walk into the rooms with 30 years of sobriety in AA and they can't get out of this bad relationship or they can't
It's
stop
because they belong in
cheating.
that other house.
Yeah, because underneath every addiction is fear of abandonment, fear of not being loved, fear of unworthiness, ego driven, all this stuff. And, usually alcohol comes later and drugs come later, but the main core is, the family of origin, looking back at the why, all that shit that just like drives us all nuts.
Now I don't want to use things as a crutch, and I've learned to face my own stuff in the past that I've kept bottled up for like 20 years. So I met my father when I was 13, and about a week later, he left again. So
Mm,
I tell kids sometimes, I was like, hey, the last time I saw my dad was a week after the first time I saw my dad. So that messed up things with trust because
Yeah.
I told myself, like, well, if my dad's going to do that, then shit, anybody's going to do that. So
Right?
it messed up relationships. And I'm not trying to use it as a crutch, but it was just my way of thinking. I had I had a problem with, like, I want you to like me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I want you to like, because I want acceptance. I wanted just somebody to hear me out because I didn't have this guy that was supposed to be able to let everything out to, or somebody to teach me how to be a man. And it would mess up stuff. It would. But
Anytime one of your core parents, leaves you, that is going to leave a scar on you because they're biologically, they're the ones that are supposed to take care of you. And
yep.
when they're flawed humans themselves, or they didn't have good fathers or all that stuff, it's generational. It gets passed
Oh
down.
yeah, and I remember finding my siblings, and they're like, "You didn't miss much." I'm like, "No, I did. Like, I missed this many birthdays, this many
Yeah.
birthday cards. I missed this many baseball gloves, and I missed." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe he wasn't that good of a father to you, but he was there at least."
Yeah.
So that, I guess, stripping all that down, that goes to what you were saying, because it did mess things up, and it did affect my future. Like, I mean, thankfully I've gotten over it, and it's a scar that's always going to be there, but now I'm okay with the scar rather than trying to cover up the scar, if that makes any
Well,
sense.
when the first thing I say, and especially in the book, is you have to be aware of it. You have to
Yeah.
realize like something in me hasn't been developed because if you're not getting those skills from your parents or teaching you how to be, a good person or how to show up for then your kids or blah blah blah, it's going to affect you emotionally. You are
Now,
going to usually be stagnant when that
oh,
happened.
and I was just stone faced. I was
Yeah.
autopilot. I was just like I shrugged to I used to shrug to everything. I'm like, it's cool, it's cool. And that was the part that bottled everything up. And I told myself, like, if it's gonna put me in a bad mood, I don't want to talk about it. But now I'm very open about talking about things that upset me. I'm in a relationship now that's great
Mhm.
because disagreements are just disagreements, and that's it. We can talk about things, and it's so refreshing, and it's so relieving and healing for me. The only thing is, like, I have a dark sense of humor, so whenever an opportunity for a daddy issue joke comes up, I am taking it, and I am making people uncomfortable. I love doing that stuff.
Oh my
Um,
God, that's funny.
no, yeah, I just anytime they're like, "Hey, what do you?" Well, there was a post the other day on Facebook, and it was like, "What are you waiting for in life?" And I was like, "For my dad to come back with a gallon of milk." And everybody's like, "Oh my god, bro!" Like,
For my dad to stick around and love me, maybe.
for my dad
That
to
would be
know my
nice.
full name, that would be cool.
Yeah. For my dad to remember my birthday.
So it's really cool because you take all of this, and you're helping people with the podcast. Now, what's that platform like? What's the format like? Do you allow people to call in and just spill their beans out for themselves?
Yeah, so the podcast came about because the pandemic hit, and my husband and
Yeah.
we were seeing in our programs, he has 32 years in AA and 10 years in DA, and we were seeing so many people struggling. And I woke up one morning and I was like, oh my God, Secret Life podcasts. Tell me your secrets, I'll tell you mine. And I got like a $60 mic. I interviewed a couple of my friends to see if I liked it. And then it just took off. And it's, a lot of well-known people I have on. I've had Olivia Munn on and Jana Kramer and people on, but then mostly everybody's anonymous. They write to me. Sometimes I don't even know their names. I've never seen their face. They tell me their secret or a past secret, and I give them a Zoom and we literally record for 30-35 minutes, and I ask them a couple questions, but it's just two people talking, letting go of shame, letting go of our secrets. And we've had, a suicide attempt. She shot herself in the chest with a shotgun and survived, and she walked me through it. I have, another suicide attempt where he got put in a state asylum and how that was. And then we've had coming out stories, men with eating disorders, all kinds of sex and love addiction, obviously. I have a one coming out where he's obsessed with big boobs. I mean, it's like every walk of life, using abortions as birth control, stealing,
Whoa.
stealing from Jeff Bezos at Whole Foods, like every issue you could imagine. We had I think our 39th episode was just released and I have 89 episodes still recorded.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jeez. I have
So we
like
have enough for
5.
2 years. Well, we have enough for 2.5 years. So we're planning on doing it 2.5 years. And the whole point, my husband and I just want to be of service. And the moment I have to tell you, when HuffPost came out, this is why I did the podcast. When
Sure.
HuffPost came out that morning, I'm not kidding. I was like, what did I do? Did I just ruin my career? Like every worry, fear, doubt, like I was like getting like buried in it, right? And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh no. And I'm not, it was like 9 o'clock and nothing happened. It was like such like a reality check. I was like, Brianne, chill out. Like you're not that big
It's
of a
all
deal.
good. But,
You're like
even
this
in
small on the planet. Like
even in
chill.
such a divisive society today that we have, I feel like mental health has been such an open conversation. And that's
Yeah.
helped me out with my own stuff. My mom suffers from mental issues, and it's easier to talk about it now. And I'm glad that you're giving people a platform. So
Yeah.
let
And
them know where exactly they can find the book and where
yeah.
they can find your podcast.
So the book is exclusively at Amazon right now. We're going to probably go everywhere in a couple months, but you go to Amazon. We're bestseller right now. So it's Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. And I say us because my husband, is always with me in the secret life world. And then the podcast is Secret Life. You can find it anywhere podcasts are: Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere, Google, iHeart, everything. So, yeah, we just are trying to be of service and give back to our community. And listen, it's my 12th step to be of service. If I help you and you help
Awesome.
me, like, isn't that the whole point of life, is to connect with other people and to help them and let go of our shame and let go of our secrets. And who cares? Like, we all want to connect on a real basis.
That's awesome. So, Brianne, before I let you go, I like to do this thing called the lightning round. I'm just gonna shoot
Ooh,
out
I
these
love it.
questions.
Okay.
Yeah. So, favorite place to hike?
Griffith Park.
I know you were pregnant during the filming of a Lifetime movie called Saving My Baby. What was something that had to be in catering, or else it was gonna be hell to pay?
Ginger chews.
What?
Yeah, or I was gonna like throw up. I was nauseous. The first trimester when I was sick, I had to have ginger chews or I would like get sick.
Ginger chews.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can't
so
stand them now. They're nasty.
food wise, pineapples on pizza, is that against the law?
I kind of think it is. I think it's kind of gross.
Thank you. Thank God you said that. Are you confident in your TikTok dancing?
I'm starting to be, because I think I'm so bad that I'm actually really good and I enjoy it. Like I love dancing.
Um, one question I did want to ask that I guess we can just dive real quick.
Yeah.
When you have a passion and you chase it and it becomes your occupation,
Mhm.
does it ever turn into the only the occupation where you have to find another passion to keep yourself happy?
No, because I'm still very passionate about acting, but acting led me to directing, which I love, and producing and being a part of every aspect of a movie, that then led me to then writing a novel and like now turning it into a
Now
TV
you're an
show.
author. Look at you.
Yeah,
And a
like
TV
who would have,
show.
yeah, we have a bunch of meetings and
That's so
we'll
great.
see. So it's like I'm still passionate, but there's something about when you're passionate, then it makes you want to like even create even more.
All right, last two questions. Would you rather be trapped in Jumanji or Jurassic Park?
Jumanji.
Why?
Because well, the new one, because I
Oh, the
love
new one
Kevin
because it's
Hart. He like cracks me up. Like
okay.
he
Now,
cracks me up.
do you find the quickest parking spot and take the walk, or do you find the closest parking spot to take a shorter walk?
Uh, Quickest parking stop. Every time I try to get a closer spot, I just screw myself over. So I just try to park.
Awesome. Miss Brianne Davis, thank you so much. You've been so cool and gracious with your time. Let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Oh yeah, so come follow me at the Brianne Davis on Instagram, or you can go to the podcast one. It's Secret Life Podcast or Secret Life Novel. If you want a signed copy of the book, you can go to secretlifenovel.com. And I joined TikTok, which is crazy.
It's
So
hilarious. It's
the
hilarious.
Brianne Davis, and I embarrass myself a lot, which is really fun because I don't.
It was an awesome time to talk to you. Fitting on International Women's Day as we
Oh
are recording
yeah.
this. Thank you so much for everything you do with an enlightening conversation. To tell you the truth, I've learned some stuff today about myself that I'm gonna hide away for the next 15 years. This is D. You can find me at DNC Digital on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Miss Brianne Davis, I'm gonna send you my reel. I will pay for my plane ticket. Just get me a part in one of your shows and movies.
Okay,
I'll
okay.
pay for the ticket. I will stay at the seediest hotel. You don't have to just buy me some Chinese for the day. It's fine. Like I will pay for the plane ticket and everything else. Just get me a part. I'll send you my
Okay,
reel.
sounds good. Good
And
good
I'll be
idea.
waiting for that signed copy of the book. Um everybody please have a great day. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you next time. DNC Digital. Thanks guys.